Welcome to Tech Notice. This over here is the most requested SSD review on the channel. This is the SK Hynix P41 Platinum, and this is supposed to be one of the fastest and best Gen 4 NVMe drives that you can buy. Well, how does it stack up with all the other SSDs that we tested on the channel? Is it worth buying? Let's find out. Oh, hey, whoa, wait. Scary news, big news, and you need to act now.
Okay.
Take a breath. Breathe.
It's Windows 10.
What about it?
Well, it's ending, and your device might be at risk, and you gotta act now.
Well, good job. I am running Windows 11 then, eh?
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, that's good. Ryzen Pro, I can see. Yeah, that's very good. Good choice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, one sec. AMD sent me to tell them about the Ryzen Pro Loaner program that they're running, and they can go check out any of the Ryzen Pro laptops for free. Check them out if you want to, for free.
I've already made a video about the Windows 10 and Ryzen Pro that they can check out in the video description already.
Okay. Well, carry on then.
Links below. So then, little overview of the SSD. We've got the chips only on the top side. There's nothing on the bottom, so you can use this on laptops or in devices that have a very slim slot. So we've got the NAND and the controller all in there, a little sticker on the top. This comes in 1 terabyte, actually 500 gigabytes, 1 terabyte, and 2 terabyte in sizes. So unfortunately, there isn't larger capacities available than 2 terabytes. If you want to check this out or any of the other SSDs, I'm going to leave them linked in the description below. But let's take a look at some of the benchmarks then. Firstly, sequential read and write speeds, which is not particularly useful, but you know, one of the flex drag race SSD benchmarks that we can check out. In terms of Gen 4, you can see that the SK Hynix gets 7,117 megabytes read speed. Is kind of the same as any of the other top Gen 4 drives. As you can see, there's a massive bunch, all of them in the same kind of space. And then the Gen 5 drives are above it. So not that big of a difference from any of the other ones, although the write speed is the fastest Gen 4 NVMe SSD speed that I have ever tested. So as you can see, it just stacks on the top of the charts there, on top of Kingston KC3000s and so on. But what about more real world scenarios when you actually use the SSD inside a PC, whether on a system drive or secondary drive and so on? So this is a quick system drive benchmark, which means that this tests the drive as a secondary SSD you would on a light secondary use. So let's say you have some videos, photos, files open in the secondary SSD, and then you just use it in a laptop, in a system, and as a secondary one. How good is it? The faster one obviously is better, and here we kind of see that it gets to that top end of Gen 4, but it's the bottom of the top end of Gen 4. I mean, we're slower than Crucial P310, which is a very affordable drive. SOLIDIGM P44 Pro, which is some ways exactly the same drive, just SOLIDIGM, because it's the same SK Hynix and Intel kind of a drive there. The SOLIDIGM performs slightly better, and by slightly I mean a couple of percent, which is not a big difference really, but it is on the top end of the best drives you can get for Gen 4. Interestingly, some of the non-DRAM-less drives perform better. This drive, by the way, has DRAM cache. It has 1 gigabyte per terabyte. So 1 terabyte drive has 1 gigabyte and 2 terabyte drive has 2 gigabytes of DRAM cache. Moving on to data drive benchmark, and this is more looking at the drive as a data, so more storing data rather than actively working on it, even though the quick system drive benchmark wasn't as active as a system full system drive when you're running your operating systems on. This is more like a storage, you put something on there and kind of leave it, and and here we can see again we're in the top end of the Gen 4 drives. There are a few drives that are better, like the Samsung 990 Pro and 990 Evo. 2TB drives, interestingly, are better from the Gen 4 drives. SOLIDIGM slightly better as well, perform benchmarks a little bit better. There is a bunch of drives within 1% of each other. SOLIDIGM and SK Hynix and even the Crucial P41, they're all within 1% of each other. So perform very, very similarly on the top end of the chart there. Moving on to system drive benchmark. So this is a full operating system programs. This is where you run your, Windows, your operating systems, games, video editing applications. And this to me seems to be the best representation of a drive, how good it is. Probably the most useful for most people. If we're looking at this drive, we can see that the drive is performing quite okay, but it falls short a little bit on the top end of Gen 4. So the P44 Pro is one of the fastest, in fact, the fastest Gen 4 drives that I have tested, and they are a couple of percent higher, maybe 5%, up to 5% higher, something like that. Then we've got Crucial P310, which is ridiculously budget drive, apparently performs better, just the way the controller and stuff works. DRAM cache apparently doesn't make that much of a difference. It is faster than the Samsung 990 Pro by just a little bit, within 1% though, but it still performs a little bit better. So yes, it is right on the top there of Gen 4 drives, very, very similarly. Interestingly though, it is a few percent better than the WD Black SN850X. So for operating system drive, this seems a very, very good option. Moving on to drive consistency test, and this is where we see the drive as fully utilized and absolutely synthetically benchmarking this for a very long time. And usually what I see is the larger capacity and DRAM cache here performs better, but we're writing over 20 terabytes of files on it. We're filling the drive a couple of times and it just lasts for about 20 hours, very long test, and to really see which drives can sustain their read and write speeds. Now here, interestingly, there is a block of drives that are performing very, very similarly. The P44 Pro, as you can see there, we can see the Samsung 980 Pro, SN850X, this SK Hynix P41 Platinum, and the Verbatim VI7000G. They are performing within 0.5% of each other. They're literally just a block, as you can see from the charts, like they're all the same. Now, are they the fastest Gen 4 drives that are out there? No. FireCuda 530 performs a bit better, and the Samsung 990 Pro is even faster. What is surprising to me in this test is that even though the SK Hynix has a higher SLC cache size than Samsung, the Samsung 99 Pro still performs a little bit better. So if you're looking at the SLC cache size, I've got a few drives that I've pulled out the specs in here. If you want me to add any of these, please comment below so I could add them in here. You can see that the Samsung 990 Pro for 2TB SLC cache is 226 gigabytes, whereas on the SK Hynix it is 320. So when you write really large amount of data onto the drive, the SK Hynix should be faster, although in the consistency test it doesn't seem to be so. Samsung seems to be keeping its speeds even better. The absolute amazing drive in here is the Kingston KC3000. The SLC cache size is quite large, 1460 gigabytes on the 4TB model. That's why it can sustain those 7000 plus megabytes per second speeds a very long time. It's not as big as the WD SN850X, which still seems to perform a little bit worse than this SK Hynix P41 Platinum. It is within 1% though, but the SN850X has the largest SLC cache that I know of any of the SSDs. Please let me know if there's any other ones that I don't know of. And the last thing we should check out is the terabyte written spec. So every SSD has a read and write cycles, and you can read or write X amount of data from the SSD. And on this one, we see the industry standard of 600 per 1TB and 1200 for the 2TB model. So this is standard. There's nothing amazingly more in there. For 5 years, that's what they rated this drive. In conclusion, what is this SK Hynix P41 Platinum then? Honestly, it is one of the best drives that you can get. It is on the top of the charts on pretty much everything of Gen 4. I did wish that the full system drive benchmark was a little bit higher on this one, on the read speeds. And then the drive consistency test, I expected this to perform better than the Samsung drive or some of the other drives, but it's still right on the top there with Gen 4. Now, would I buy this or the Samsung 990 Pro over which one should I get? I would probably go with the Platinum P41 SSD, depending on the price point though. But at that point, I'm also looking at SOLIDIGM P44 Pro because that one also performs extremely well in there. And in a lot of the instances in my test case scenario, exactly in the same system, SOLIDIGM P44 Pro is slightly faster in a lot of these tests here. Is it a bad drive to buy? Absolutely not. If you find this on a sale, I would buy this over the Samsung 990 Pro or the SN850X unless you need a very large SLC cache and you know that you're going to be writing a lot of files on it, and that's why you need a WD SN850X, which is amazing drive for that then. The other downside for the SK Hynix here is the actual capacity. I wish there was 4 terabytes and 8 terabyte sizes available because people need more and more storage these days. So it is good. Look at these. I mean, these drives are exactly the same thing. Wait a second. Let's peel this back. If we are looking at these side by side, on the right we have the SK Hynix P41 Platinum, and then on the left we have SOLIDIGM. These drives are exactly the same. Look at the constructions. The SMDs are exactly in the same place. It's literally the same drive. The SOLIDIGM seems to have the areas controller, so the top one there is a controller. On the SK Hynix and SOLIDIGM, they're slightly different controllers. That tells me that whichever drive you want to get, go check out in the description below whichever one costs less. They're exactly the same drive. That's why they may be named very similarly. This is the P41 Platinum. The other one is P44 Pro, but SOLIDIGM also has a P41 Plus, which is a little bit lower end. But I didn't think they were going to be that similar, but this is literally the same drive. Thanks guys for watching. Go check them out in the video description below, and I'll see you in the next video.